Yeah, Coach, just your assessment so far through, was it 10 practices so far?
9
11?
so far.
9
10 today, I think.
Yeah, 10 today.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm excited about the possibilities of us being really good on offense. I feel like we're better and deeper in the offensive line. I like our running back crew. You know, it's going to be fun to see when we get to these scrimmages, the yards after contact and how many tackles we break. I think we're explosive there. Mike Washington gives us a little bit different of his speed, so that helps you be not to have to call so many plays. I like our tight end group. I think it's a good combination of size and strength and a really good route runner, catcher. We need to get Platt back full healthy, which he was the last 2 practices, because he can do both. He can be the big run blocker and also run and catch. He's a real talented guy. Receivers were a little bit different than we were a year ago when you look out there and see the size of guys, but I do think that we have some explosive players there. We're trying to find out who's going to be that one go-to guy when you need a first down and that you can count on to get open and catch the ball when you're sometimes not open. You know, I think that's one of the things that we haven't done as well as I would like, is to catch the ball in contested, when you're contested, and still be able to catch the ball. CeCe's been the one that has done that better than anybody else so far.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those wide receivers and CeCe, just some of the qualities each one brings. It seems like Blake has also had a few good practices strung together lately.
Yeah, he has. It's taken him a while. You know, I was hoping he would start quicker than that, but he has really come on in the last, I'd say, 3 practices and shown his explosiveness, his ability to make the plays. Got him down the field, I think, the last 2 practices a lot, which is we need. Monte is still that big body that can get open and catch the ball in traffic. He still gets tired sometimes. He's got to get a little bit. We need to make a decision whether we're going to have him drop some weight, but he's got to get in better shape, because sometimes he gets tired and doesn't go like he can. Slot receivers I feel great about. You know, Railen Sharp really understands the offense. He's been in it. He's made a lot of plays in it. He's very difficult to cover, and he runs well after the catch. I also like our little punt returner in there. He's explosive. He's going to make plays for us, whether we throw it to him, hand it off to him, or screen with him. We got to get the ball in his hands, because he's such a great runner doing it. And Cross Johnson keeps getting better. He just got to get rid of the assignment errors. You know, his freshman, his youth, his youngness shows up a lot, but he's very, very talented. So it's fun to see that. At the Z receiver, you know, CJ is still got great talent and makes plays. He's just not consistent enough right now, and that's youth also. So he's just got to be more consistent. But he certainly has the ability to make plays for us. CeCe has shown up a lot, particularly in making plays down the field and competing and going and getting the ball. We need to get him running routes more consistent and better and at the right depth all the time. And I think he could take a huge step forward in the offense. So,
Bobby, I asked Sam 2 or 3 weeks ago about the backup quarterback. You know, last year when Taylor got hurt against Tennessee, Malachi came in, you guys won the game. Do you feel like by September that you'll be comfortable with one of those, KJ or one of those guys coming in the game?
Yeah, no question about it. You know, I think the biggest thing that you have to do on a backup quarterback is really know what they can do. And then you limit what you practice, and you just try to get really good at what it is that you're good at. You know, I thought that was the one thing that I knew last year, is what Malachi's strengths were and what he was really good at and what he could excel at and make plays doing. And when he came in the game, that's all we did. So right now, you know, we're giving him this whole offense, but we're trying to figure out, okay, this is what KJ is really good at. This is what Madden can do. You know, Madden's a special talent now. He can really get the ball out of his hands. He sees stuff and has a great quick release. You know, I know there's times when he drops back and he doesn't know what the play is, but somebody pops open and he can, like, stick it and put it right on their hands. The last guy that I coached that did that a lot as a true freshman was Lamar Jackson, where you don't see anything, but all of a sudden I throw a post for a touchdown and everyone's going, damn, how did he see that? It wasn't even in his progression. Now, we do need to get him to know the plays. There's no question about that. But that ability is something that, is hard to coach. And his vision is just something that's really good.
They've been talking about a big receiver who can catch ball and stuff like the kid did last year, Armstrong. But Antonio Jordan's not here now, but is he someone that could come in this summer and this fall and make a quick impact, do you think?
I'm hoping so. He certainly has that body and that talent and those traits that you want. It's just going to be how quickly he can learn and put it together. And I've been impressed with the young man every time I've been around him because he's very, very serious. It wasn't a whole lot of recruiting. He was like, Coach, I want to come to Arkansas, and that's where I want to play. And that was, great to have. And we still have the young man coming in from California, too, that was Madden's teammate that's not quite as big as Jordan, but he's a good-sized guy that can go up and catch the ball, too.
If you can recall another year where you had so much turnover, like at every position except maybe your starting quarterback, and what's the challenge of having so many new guys on the unit?
Yeah, I can absolutely never remember a year. No, not at all. This is crazy stuff now. This is a new era. You used to be like in January, you'd get maybe 2, 3, sometimes 5 or 6 new players in. I think we had 49 or something like that this year, 49 new guys. So it's different, but it's what we're having now. The challenge is going to be is to take that next step forward as an offense, as a group, being able to build on it and mature and get better because, there's been a lot of new teaching, a lot of and actually we reduced what we put in this spring. I'm still going to go back to what my father taught me a long time ago is you got to get good at something. Then you can move on and get better at something else. But we're definitely going to get good at something. And then take the next step forward. I think what helps and makes me feel more comfortable is it's not at the quarterback position. Taylor knows the offense. He's much more comfortable in it. Last year, sometimes it was every day was a new day, and new coverages, new blitzes, new this. Now he understands defenses a whole lot better, and that'll allow him to operate our offense way better.
I saw in Washington a little bit, but I wonder about the depth at tailback and Russell. Is he improved? Has he lost weight? And just maybe the whole group a little bit.
Yeah, I like the group a lot. Railen has done a really nice job getting his weight down. He's faster. He's quicker. He's been able to play longer without getting fatigued. I want to see his explosiveness. And, unfortunately we got our scrimmage canceled last week because of the weather and having to go inside. But I'm looking forward to seeing his explosiveness at that weight and how well he can come out of tackles and make yards after contact. I really like Mike Washington. He's got great size. He sees things, and he's explosive. I think we got a chance to make big plays. He also catches the ball really well, as does Railen out of the backfield. Railen, I remember him in high school. They ran tight end routes with him, and his ability to jump and turn. And he's been showing that this spring for us too. Rodney's still a really good player. He's got to be able to stay healthy. That's the issue right there. Is he's a smaller guy and he does get hit hard, so he needs to just be able to stay healthy. And we'll have a good role for him, both in the run game and the pass game, because he can do both of them very well. Let me see. After that, we got Tyrell, and he's done a good job. I think that, his speed needs to show up more. I thought that was one of the things that when we were practicing for the bowl game where he got more and more reps as his speed started to show up. In high school, he is a very good 100-meter runner, did a great job running track, and it finally showed up in preparation for the bowl. So he's got to continue to get that. A.J. Green is a young man that I didn't know a lot about. I like him a lot. I think he's very calm back there. He helps the quarterbacks a lot. He's made plays running the ball. We do need to get him in with the ones and the twos a little bit to see if he can still make those same plays running the football. But he sees things and he cuts. And then the other thing we're working hard with him is he needs to show his track speed on the field too. You know, he was a low 100-meter guy that we haven't seen that burst and finish yet on the field. I like Cam Settles a lot. You know, Cam's big. He's strong. He's shown he can pass protect, and that's the first thing as a young guy that gets you in the game is your ability to protect the quarterback. So I've liked the way he's played when he's been in there.
Bob, I want to go back to Madden if I could. He had such a small sample size of high school. Only got to play 1 year and didn't play at all last year. Where is he in his development as compared to some of the other young guys?
Yeah, I would say he's ahead of a lot of young guys that I've coached. He works extremely hard at understanding, the offense. He works hard at calling the play in the huddle. He takes a lot of pride in it. He gets mad at himself if he makes an error calling the play or calling the motion or setting things in. So he's got a lot of internal pride in himself. His natural delivery makes coaching all about the X's and the O's, and you're not having to change anything in his footwork or his release, and that makes it a lot easier coaching him, I can tell you that, because now it's all about, executing the offense and seeing things and knowing what's going on, but I think he's got a chance to be a real special player.
Sam has talked about it, even Talon and Carmona, about the excitement of a second year in your offense. I'm just wondering, from your vantage point, what are the benefits of going into year two? You mentioned a little bit with Talon, but not just the quarterback, the entire, offense.
Yeah, I'm interesting to see that myself, because there's not a lot back, Actually, Junior's doing a really good job at that left guard position. It's been new to him, but I think it's where he'll excel at and be really good at. And he's a really good leader, and he's been playing well for us, so that's good. But, I think and I believe that we'll be a lot better on offense, more consistent, more explosive, because our quarterback understands not only what we're doing, but what the conference is all about. And, how you have to be able to get the ball out of your hand, how you have to be able to see things and know what you're doing, just because of the pass rush that you're going to get and the tight coverage that you're going to get. And so I think he'll take a huge step forward. And as your quarterback goes, your offense usually goes, so.
Is it very important for you guys to try and get both Cam and Railen on the field together? I mean, is that possible given they play similar positions, similar size and everything, or is that something you guys really want to try and focus on here?
Yeah, we have a package where they come out on the field together and a couple different tempos on it. So one where we come out and go fast, and we have a couple different formations, but we know exactly where we're lining up, what we're running, and how we execute there. That helps you see less and less of defensives in those packages. And then one where we can change up where they align in the motion and how they carry the ball and how we throw it to them. Both of them have great traits in running with the football, and they got to be able to stay healthy, which is not taking big hits. They're able to not get hit yet, so that's a good thing to see.
Talon said that you two have a full Excel grade sheet where you grade on decision making and execution. And I'm just curious, when you looked back with him and kind of diagnosed last season, what were the main things that stood out?
Did you say full Excel?
He said y'all have a full Excel grades sheet.
What's Excel?
Something
That's kind of where I'm at right now with this technology stuff. So my Excel is to be able to get on the computer and do football. But I do write out a grade sheet, and I do think that Miles Fishback types it up, maybe in Excel. I don't know about that, but yeah, that's what I believe playing quarterback is every single play we have a decision to make. All right, whether it's stay with the play called, change the play, stay with the protection called, change the protection. drop back pass, holding the mic, keying the nickel, where I throw the ball. And then I have to be able to execute what my assignment is sometimes. Like in the run game, we've got to be perfect on our footwork, perfect on our ball handling, and perfect carrying out our fake. In the pass game, it's as simple as I make the decision. I got to be able to throw the ball and complete it. Doesn't do me any good if I can make great decisions and not be able to complete the passes that are there. And I've had quarterbacks like that. Man, this guy knows what he's doing, but man, he can't complete it. And then you've had quarterbacks that don't know what they're doing and throw the ball real well, but they get you in trouble with decision making and interceptions and stuff like that. So it's just how I've always graded a quarterback. I remember my first stint in the NFL, I gave Mark Brunell that grade sheet, and he said, "What's this?" And I said, "Well, that's the grade sheet, man." He said, "Oh, I've never been graded since I've been in the NFL." So I said, "Well, you are now." But that's how I believe you get better, too, is that you understand what decisions I'm making and how am I able to execute it.
Coach, you mentioned Railen Sharp being familiar with the offense. He obviously played with you at Missouri State. I'm curious, where has he maybe improved, like since you last coached him to now?
Yeah, when I first coached him at Missouri State, you know, he had just came in. I think he came in the summer. He didn't even have a spring ball. So as the year went on, he started playing more and more, made some big plays for us. But then when I left and he played for my son, he became their leading receiver. I think he was first team all-conference, maybe an All-American. I thought he was going to stay there. Probably could have got him here, but I didn't want to do that. You know, blood's thicker than water, I guess they say. And then when he went to Fresno and I found out that he had one more year of eligibility left, I was like, well, we need to bring him in because he really would be a great asset to our team. You know, he was an option quarterback out of high school. I've always had success with option quarterbacks playing other positions, whether it's DB, because they know football, or receiver, or some have played running back. But there is an advantage of getting an athlete that plays a different position when he played quarterback in high school. So I like him a lot. I think he's a really good player, and he's been good for our team because of his work ethic. And, you know, he's quiet, but he leads by example.
Coach Ben was telling us last week that Remy Cofield, the new GM, would be kind of around the program, kind of learning the guys here as he gets on the job. Have you had any interactions with him? And if so, kind of what have been your impressions of him?
No, sir, I haven't had any reactions. It's above my, what do you say, pay grade? Is that what you say? Whatever.
Like having that be above your pay grade now, coming from, you know, your head coaching experience now being a coordinator, where now that's, you know, Sam's thing to deal with?
Yeah, it's fun in certain things, in certain aspects. That's definitely one of them. You know, in like when I was at A&M, assistant coaches weren't involved or knew anything about the NIL or anything like that. It was just you guys coach, and this all goes to this department. So that was a good deal. You know, you didn't have to worry about it. Sometimes you lost a kid or two because of you didn't know and you couldn't like help recruit them. But that's how they dealt with it there. But I'm enjoying my role. I'm happy being in the classroom. It's been a lot of fun. You know, being back teaching every day in the classroom and the relationships you build with the players, and you know they know way more about me than anybody else on the football team. So that's been kind of cool.
Sam's been high on Rohan Jones at tight end and has said you guys, you know, wants to get him the ball a little bit more in practice. But what do you feel like you got in him, and can he how much can he fill that role of kind of a big-bodied pass catcher?
Yeah, he definitely can fill it. You know, he's got great speed. I think if we lined up and raced the receivers, he might end up 3 or 4 in that race. So he's very, very explosive. He had a good start, really good start. We were doing a good job. And then the first time where he's out there by himself and the coaches are over here, it became a little bit big and fast to him, and he didn't play as well as we like him to. But he came back from it very, very strong, and that's a key to, you know, his pride. And I think he's very prideful and a great competitor. I think he'll be really good for us.
And then with so many new guys on the offense, I mean, what's the process like? How do you go about connecting with the guys as athletes on an individual level?
Yeah, I think, the first thing we did is had our mat drills winter program. So you're watching them lift in the weight room with them, trying to encourage, trying to motivate. Then you go out in the running part of it, and you're seeing who is in shape, who's not in shape, who can fight through pain, who's gives in a little bit. So you try to get to know them a little bit more on that aspect. And then now is the big part, this spring ball, and seeing how they handle the installation, what's new, who blows a plug, who can really do it and pick it up quickly. One thing that you do notice, in the old days where you didn't have as many transfers coming in, you had the freshmen. Sometimes it took the freshmen a long time to learn the install and learn how things were going and how they were doing that. These guys now that have transferred and maybe had two coordinators, now their third offense that they're in, they naturally start picking things up quicker than they would have just as a freshman, because they know how the installation goes. They know what they need to know about this play. They correlate it to another language and then eventually get rid of that other language and really understand it. So that's one thing I've been impressed with this group, particularly some of those old linemen, the tight end crew that came in, is they've been able to really get the offense down pretty quickly.
You talked about teaching the schematics. How much has Tailon embraced that role as a teacher as well?
Yeah, he's done a really nice job of leading. Part of maturing as a quarterback and leading is communicating with your teammates and motivating your teammates and not accepting when they don't do something right. And I try to encourage that, like, hey, you go tell him what he should have done there, and not me. And then they know that he knows what he's talking about, whether they're short on a route or deep on a route or didn't break at the right angle. A lot of times our quarterbacks now are going and making that correction to the players, and that means a lot more than just coming from me.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor now has a year of SEC experience under his belt. So sorry, forgot my question. It'll come back to me. He now has a year of experience in the SEC. Is year two of Tailon about maxing efficiency in what he does well? Obviously a runner, or are there some things that you're looking to implement in year two?
Yeah, both. Both. You got to get better at what it is that you're good at, and improve at it, and be more consistent at it. And that is his ability to run the football, but also he's a very good thrower. Some routes he's way better than others. We're trying to make sure we're doing that more and using his talents more. And then you got to improve on that 20% that must get better at, so you can play at a very high level consistently.
You talked about Monte a little bit, but how much and what areas does he have to improve on to go from a guy that was mostly on special teams, coming from baseball, to being a guy that can be maybe your 50-50 type of guy? And you talked about maybe dropping some weight with him. I guess what factors go into whether you decide to do that or not?
Yeah, how these next 2 weeks go. I felt like he's made some really good strides, and I don't want to, God gave him a big body and he's physical and he knows how to use it. If he's a little bit quicker twitch on a few things, on his releases and getting out of his break, does that make him that much better, or does that hinder him because now we're taking away one thing that's different in him is his size? So you always like those outliers that are a little bit different than anybody else, and his outlier is that he's big and physical, and so it's a decision we're going to have to make after spring ball. I've talked to him about it before, and he's talked to me about it, and we're like, okay, which way should we go? And the decision was let's go through spring ball and see what your positives are, what your negatives are, and then make a decision after that.
It didn't take long just to see Rohan Jones and Mike Washington and be like, wow, that's a pretty good looking guy. Were you surprised to see those guys available and, I guess playing kind of on a smaller level?
Not really. There's a lot of really good players out there, and when you watch Rohan and obviously played at Montana State and did a great job playing there, and then go back and see where he was before he even went there, he improved tremendously. And then we really liked his personality and his attitude and his toughness. And we've coached a number of kids from Canada before, and he had more understanding of football than some of the other ones that I've coached. He really knew the game. And it was fun talking to him and him being able to picture what you're saying and him know it. So I think you're going to see him excel and do really well for us.
And last one, with Taylor, we talked about being in the offense year 2 and all this stuff, but how much, I guess, of a benefit is it going to be beyond that with what looks like an improved offensive line for him?
Yeah, well, I think that'll be huge. I think it'll make him that much better, you know, and when you look at the size that we have now, we're way different. We got some things we still need to figure out, like that right side of the O-line, who's going to be the starting guard, who's going to be the starting tackle. Colby's down right now, so mainly Blackwell and E. Harris and Shaq have been rotating between the tackle and guard. Shaq's not going inside, but the other 2 guys have been rotating in there. And then you're going to get Colby back to the mix, and he's a heck of a player. He was playing really well. It's a shame that happened, but so I think that the competition there will make them all better, you know. And then the left side I feel really good about, and even the backups there are doing a really nice job. So the ability to have the depth and the competition is going to make them all better.
Coach, appreciate you.
All right, thanks, guys.